Hey everyone, welcome back. In a world full of love stories, there's one bond that stands above all. A mother's unconditional love for her child. It's pure, it's selfless, it's unbreakable. But what happens when that bond is shattered? When a mother's child is taken from her in the most brutal way imaginable? What kind of punishment fits a crime so heartless? Today's story dives deep into that horrifying question. Based on a true event, this tale will shake you to your core. So sit tight, and whatever you do, don't look away until the end. The film opens with a pregnant woman named Cindy. She's on a trip with her mother and little sister, and while her mom runs errands at a nearby grocery store, Cindy is left looking after her sister. While chatting with her boyfriend over the phone, she warns her sister not to wander too far into the woods, just in case she gets lost. Suddenly, Cindy notices a strange plant. Curious, she picks its fruit and takes a bite, but something about it tastes off. Disturbed, she spits it out immediately. She calls out for her sister to come back, but there's no sign of her anywhere. That's when she hears rustling from the bushes. As she looks closer, she spots someone lurking in the shadows. From the brush emerges a man dressed in military attire, holding a large knife and a baby bag. Cindy instantly realizes he's here for her baby. Terrified, she hides in the bushes. The man searches for her but eventually gives up and walks away. Thinking it's safe, Cindy steps out, but just then, her little sister appears, calling out her name. Panicked, Cindy begs her not to shout, but it's too late. The man returns, grabs Cindy, and her sister runs away, watching helplessly. Moments later, as the killer walks off, he notices the little girl sitting quietly in a boat. Strangely, he doesn't harm her, he simply waves and leaves, but the girl hears something, a baby crying from inside his bag. Realizing what's happened, she rushes back to her sister, only to find her lying in a pool of blood, her stomach ripped open. Cindy is dead, and her unborn baby is gone. Cut to a new couple, Raymond and Darlene, heading to a lakeside cabin they rented on Airbnb. Darlene is pregnant, and they've already chosen a name for their baby, Savannah. Raymond plans to introduce her to his sister, Martha, who will be joining them at the cabin. Along the way, a local sheriff stops them and asks for their license. Darlene recognizes him, and they exchange pleasantries. But when he hears they're staying at the lake cabin, he tenses up. That's where Cindy's murder happened. He lets them go, but silently decides to keep an eye on them. Once they arrive, Martha welcomes them. Raymond asks her to take care of Darlene while he runs some errands. As he drives off, the sheriff's car is seen parked nearby, watching. Inside, Darlene is surprised by how filthy the cabin is. When she asks Martha if this was really the best option, Martha brushes it off, saying they were lucky to get a cabin so close to the lake at such a low price. Darlene then asks about the restroom. Martha warns her not to expect anything clean. The bathroom is just as bad. As Darlene walks toward it, she notices a door with a sign, "Do not open." Martha quickly explains, the owner strictly forbids anyone from opening that door. Apparently, it contains his private research, but something tells us that door hides more than just research. A little while later, when Darlene returns, she asks Martha why the windows in the cabin have been removed and replaced with wooden planks. Martha explains that the actual windows were taken out by the cabin's owner, since they hadn't used the place in years. To secure it temporarily, he had boarded it up and even parked a boat outside to keep hunters from trespassing. Later, the two step outside and sit by the lake, enjoying the peaceful moment. As they talk, Martha shares something personal. She was very anxious when she first met Raymond. Darlene asks why. Martha says she feared Darlene would leave Raymond too soon. But she was wrong, and Darlene proved her doubts unfounded. Their conversation is suddenly interrupted by strange noises coming from the woods. Startled, Martha grabs a knife and heads toward the bushes. But when she checks, no one's there. She tells Darlene it was probably nothing, and they both return to the cabin. Inside, Darlene starts examining an old photo on the wall. It shows the sheriff alongside another man. Martha reveals that the man in the photo is the cabin's owner and used to be the sheriff's hunting partner. Suddenly, there's a knock at the door. The women freeze. Martha calls out, asking who's there. No answer. Gathering her courage, she opens the door, only to find her neighbor Loretta standing there with her little daughter. Loretta explains she lives nearby and saw their car parked outside, so she came over to say hello. She tells them to reach out if they need anything. Her daughter, Patty, reminds her they're getting late, so Loretta prepares to leave, but not before promising to bring them some cookies soon. Back inside, Martha and Darlene sit and flip through photo albums from Martha's childhood. Martha begins to open up more. She talks about her brother's first girlfriend, someone he truly loved. But tragedy struck. The girl was abused by her own uncle. The trauma shattered her, and she had to be sent to a rehab center to recover. Darlene is shocked and asks where she is now. Martha says she hopes the girl is safe wherever she is. Meanwhile, young Patty is walking back toward the cabin with cookies when she suddenly feels like someone is watching her from the bushes. She calls out, thinking it might be a friend playing a prank, but no one answers. She checks the bushes. Empty. Back at the cabin, Martha and Darlene are dancing and enjoying themselves when another knock comes at the door. They assume it's Patty with the cookies. But as Martha opens the door, it's not Patty, it's the killer. He strikes Martha on the head, knocking her unconscious. Darlene, horrified, slams the door shut and grabs a baseball bat to defend herself. Peeking through the peephole, she tries to locate the intruder. Suddenly, a knife stabs through the door, nearly hitting her eye. Luckily, she pulls back just in time. Terrified, she watches as the killer begins pounding on the door. But just then, Patty actually arrives and knocks too. Hearing her voice, Darlene feels relieved until she looks through the peephole again and sees the killer standing right behind Patty. Acting fast, she flings open the door, pulls Patty inside, and slams it shut, just in time to keep the killer out. Patty, trembling, asks who that man was. Darlene says she doesn't know exactly, but she's sure he's here to take her baby. She remembers reading about a man in the news, someone who's been stealing babies from women. And now, it seems he's come for hers. Patty asks Darlene what they're going to do now. Darlene tells Patty not to worry, they'll find a way out. Curious, Darlene asks if there's a gun anywhere in the house. Patty nods and tells her that her dad used to keep one in the secret room. She quickly unlocks the hidden door with a key. That's when the truth drops. This was actually her father's house all along. Inside the secret room, Darlene notices chunks of meat hanging around and asks what they are. Patty casually replies that her dad used to hunt rabbits. He'd eat the meat and use the skin to make toys. Soon, they find a shotgun, and Darlene keeps it close. Suddenly, noises from the ceiling catch their attention. The killer is up there. Panicked, they lock the door and flee the area. Just then, Patty's mother, Loretta, arrives at the front door, banging and calling out for help. But as Darlene opens it, the killer drops from above, grabs Loretta, and drags her away. Darlene shuts the door in shock while Patty screams, begging her to help her mom. But Darlene warns her that if she goes out, the killer will end up killing all of them. Loretta's screams echo outside. They realize she's being brutally beaten. The killer ties her up and uses her as bait to lure Darlene out. Darlene hides Patty inside a closet, promising to come back with her mother. Gun in hand, she opens the door and threatens the killer to back off. Meanwhile, Patty peeks out and sees her mother tied up just outside the window. When she reaches out to help her, the killer grabs her arm and is about to bite, until Darlene shows up and fires, but the gun jams. The killer releases Patty and slips away. They open the door only to find Loretta with a noose around her neck. The killer kicks the stool beneath her. Patty rushes in and saves her mom just in time. Darlene steps outside too, but freezes as she spots the killer nearby. Panicked, she runs back inside and locks the door. Realizing she won't come out easily, the killer unties Loretta but keeps both her and Patty hostage. Darlene, shaken and unsure of what to do, fires the shotgun out of rage, but it's rusted. Useless. She throws it aside and grabs a knife. Just then, she hears a sound from outside and approaches the window cautiously. There's no one there. She turns away in frustration, but suddenly, the killer's hand shoots through the window and slices off a piece of her ear. Screaming in pain, she clutches her belly and sobs. Then, the killer calls her out again. This time, when she steps outside, she sees Loretta tied up, and Patty strapped to a chair right in front of a car about to be run over. The killer tells Darlene to come with him, but instead, she stabs his hand with a hidden knife. Enraged, the killer starts the car and runs over Loretta, crushing her to death. Blood splashes onto Darlene's face. Horrified, She sprints back inside. She's completely broken now. The killer won't let her escape. She checks on Martha, who's still unconscious. But when she wakes her, Martha finally comes to. That's when Darlene sees the sheriff's car outside. She rushes toward it, hoping for rescue, but the car is empty. No sheriff. Something's wrong. Before she can react, the killer grabs her and drags her back inside. Martha watches in shock and picks up a knife, just as the real sheriff stumbles in, bleeding heavily. He was already injured by the killer earlier. With what little strength he has, he pulls a gun and threatens the killer to let the girl go or be shot. The killer backs off and releases Darlene. But just when things seem safe, Martha suddenly stabs the sheriff in the neck, killing him on the spot. Darlene stares in disbelief. Why would Martha do that? Then comes the final reveal. The killer removes his mask. It's Raymond, Darlene's boyfriend. He walks up to Martha and kisses her. And that's when the horrifying truth hits her. They aren't siblings. They're husband and wife, and they only use Darlene to have a baby. Darlene grabs the sheriff's gun and points it at Raymond and Martha. She demands to know why they did all this. Raymond, trying to sound emotional, confesses that he still loves her, but they only wanted her baby. He insists they never intended to hurt her, but Darlene isn't buying it. She makes a run for it. Suddenly, she's struck by intense labor pain. She rushes to the sheriff's car and tries to start it, but the engine won't turn over. That's when Raymond shows up. He had already pulled out the car's wires. Seeing him, Darlene is furious. She points the gun at him and accuses him of betraying her trust. Then she takes his car keys and demands to know where his car is. Raymond tells her. Darlene quickly gets into his car and drives off, but the car shuts down a few miles away. Turns out, Raymond had reported it stolen, and the company remotely disabled it. Stranded, she sees a car approaching and tries to flag it down. Just as it stops, Raymond catches up to her, grabs her from behind, snatches the gun, and threatens to kill her if she screams. A young woman steps out of the car, telling her friend she saw someone here moments ago, but now they're gone. She even tries calling the police, but the line won't connect. Frustrated, they leave. Raymond takes Darlene captive again. The next morning, Martha is seen helping Darlene through labor. Martha calmly says that although Darlene is giving birth, she is the real mother, but Darlene pleads with her not to take her baby. Martha says she already picked a name, Savannah, but she's going to name the baby Martha instead. Darlene is horrified. Then she connects the dots. Martha's earlier story about Raymond's first girlfriend being abused by her uncle wasn't about someone else. It was Martha's own story. Martha admits it. Her uncle had assaulted her, and ever since, she's been unable to conceive. That's why she wants Darlene's baby, to raise it as her own. Powerless and exhausted, Darlene can't fight anymore. She gives birth, and Martha is overjoyed. She even lets Darlene see her newborn, before turning to Raymond and saying it's time to finish the game with his girlfriend. Raymond returns and begins beating Darlene. Meanwhile, Martha gently tells the baby they're going home, where her new brother and sister are waiting. It's revealed this isn't the first baby they've kidnapped. Later, Raymond joins Martha in the car. When asked if he finished the job, he admits he couldn't kill her, but instead, he gouged out her eyes so she wouldn't be able to identify them. They drive off. In the final scene, we see Patty hiding near the lake. She survived. So did Darlene. And that's how the movie ends. A chilling tale that shows two kinds of motherhood. One woman desperate to become a mother, willing to steal someone else's child. And another, willing to risk everything to protect her own baby. So what do you think? Were Martha and Raymond justified in what they did? Let us know in the comments. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Like and share this video so more people can discover this story. I'll see you in the next one.